Does anyone want to ask me any questions before I start? We just do questions. The second row. Yeah.
Why did you not wear socks?
I'm wearing socks. I don't usually wear socks, but it's cold here. Bangkok's quite hot. But socks, in hot countries, of course, we rarely wear socks, and Buddhist monks don't wear socks. But I found one place I always wear socks is China. Because in China, everyone is taught that the first thing you should know if you want to keep in good health is to keep your feet warm. And so a few times I went to China, and usually if you're dressed like this, everybody's thinking a bit strange, But instead of just looking like this, people in China, they look down at your feet like this, and they just shake their heads because you're not wearing any socks. And then we were walking in the park, and these two people looked at me and looked at my feet, and they said, and I asked my friend who's translating, I said, what did they say? They said, I thought monks were supposed to be wise people. How can a wise person be so stupid that they don't wear socks? So I realized not wearing socks was a cause of some criticism. So I started to wear socks when I go to China.
Why do you wear orange clothes?
Well, this robe is you may, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures or you've seen like the colors of the monk's robes, not exactly the same color. Like Venerable Vipassy is a different color from mine. And part of that is because my robe is dyed with the wood from the jackfruit tree. Do you know the jackfruit? Yeah. So if you ever seen a jackfruit tree that's been cut down or inside, like the central part, what we call the heartwood of the tree, is a yellow color. And when we're in the forest, where we live, we have all these logs of jackfruit tree. And then when we dye our robes, then we chop up we chop into chips, and then we boil, and then we make a dye from that jackfruit. And this is the color that comes from that. So our robes, we start off with just white cloth, and then all the monks, we have to learn how to sew the robe, and then we dye the robe, and it becomes this color. But originally, I understand that right from the time of the Buddha in India, so 2,000 more years ago, like this color is associated with someone who's left the world, and someone who's now a monk and is not living in a house like a normal person. So it's like a symbol of a religious person.
Why don't you have hair?
Why don't I have hair? Well, actually, I'll tell you the truth, I'm going bald on top. So I don't have almost any on top at all, and I have a little bit on the sides. But like for most people, hair is really important, isn't it? It's a really big thing. You know what hairstyle? You want your hair long, you want hair short, some people want to dye their hair, so people spend so much time on their hair, isn't it? It's like a very important part of how you appear to other people. And people think, how can I be most attractive? When you think about how I can be beautiful or most attractive, then hair's like a really big thing. So when you become a monk or a nun, this is some statement. I no longer want to appear beautiful or handsome. It's not important to me. And so I don't need to have the hair or to have to worry about the style of the hair. And so we shave our hair. And that's also part of the uniform, if you like. If you see someone who's dressed like this and with short, no hair, then you know, this is Buddhist monk.
Why did you speak all time in English?
Why did I?
Sorry. Yeah. Can you please take that? Yeah.
Why did?
Can you say it again? Can you ask again? Yeah.
Why did you speak in English?
Why did I speak in English? Well, I was born in England. And I tell you, this very funny thing is that I never really felt that I was like really English person. And always in my childhood, the country I always wanted to come to was India. And so I had some real, like almost like a magnet. And so as soon as I finished school, I was 17 years old, and I worked and I made some money, and I came to India. And I arrived in Delhi. The way I used to like to travel, because I didn't have much money, was hitchhiking, which means I would put my thumb by like this, can I go with you? So I came to Delhi from Amritsar on a truck. And so I was living my budget was 10 rupees a day, and that's everything for sleeping and eating, and so it was a real adventure for me. And I spent like 1 year in India, traveling all over India and studying, and I'm very interested in Indian religion and particularly Buddhism. And eventually I returned to England, and I realized I didn't want to do anything else with my life other than to study and practice Buddhist teaching and to share what I knew with other people. And that's when I first took the first steps to becoming a monk in Thailand. So when living in Thailand, I learned the Thai language and the local language, the local dialect. And these days I probably use Thai language more than English, but of course you don't forget your first language that you learned as a child. And I still do use English sometimes, but language is communication, isn't it? So if I come to a group of people, I think, well, what would be the best language to use? So if everyone can speak English, then that's better. If I was to speak Thai, you wouldn't understand anything. It wouldn't be any benefit to anybody.
Why
थोड़ा सा दूर रख के बात कर सकते हैं.
Why you let me?
Why are you?
Sorry.
Ask without the mic.
Why you're sitting with your crossed leg?
Oh, this is the style that when monks teach, then they are expected to sit in this style. I mean, I can sit with my legs down just normally. It's just normal for me when I am teaching to sit in this way. Why do you think when people meditate or they sit on the floor, they usually sit cross-legged? Why do you think that is? Has anybody ever thought about it? Well, one reason, it's a very simple reason. When you sit cross-legged, it's like the base of your body. It's like a triangle, isn't it? And that triangle is like a firm base for your body. So it means that you can sit straight quite easily and without any causing any problems for your health. And the way that we sit affects the way that we think and our emotions. If you see if someone sits straight, you feel one way, and if you just sit like this, you feel another way, don't you? So this is one thing that we're mindful about. It's like how we stand, how we walk, how we sit, because these things affect our mind. And if someone's always sitting like this, it's very easy to get sad, depressed. And you sit like this, you immediately feel more bright and more sharp and feel better, really. So this is one of the reasons that people who are interested in studying about their life and learning about their mind, they usually like to sit cross-legged because it's a good foundation for that kind of study.
Why do giraffes have long necks?
Why do giraffes have long necks?
Why do giraffes have long necks? Well, I've never met any giraffes personally, so I haven't asked any, but I think it's probably because they want to eat the leaves in the tall trees, and then that helps them to do that. But giraffes, because they have such long necks, they have incredibly strong hearts because they have to pump that blood all the way up high. So it's quite a thing to do that, isn't it? I'm sorry.
So when you were young, then also you used to wear robes like this?
No, this is, we start to wear robes like this when we become monks. When I was growing up in England, I just dressed like you and all the boys and girls here do.
How old are you? How old are you?
How old am I? Tomorrow is my birthday. I will be 62 years old.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, this is good.
Go ahead, Purva. Yeah. Did not drive car.
Why do I not drive cars? That's a good question. So at the time of the Buddha, he laid down a lot of rules about what monks can do and what monks can't do. But he also said, in the future, when the Buddha has passed away, the society, the world will change. And so there will be many things that appear in the world which are not mentioned in my teachings. So you may have some doubts. Well, can we do this or can we do that? Because the Buddha never mentioned these things. So he said, I will give you a principle. He said, when you have some new thing and you're not sure whether it's possible or not possible for a monk to do this or to use this, then you should look at all the things that I allowed for the monks and all the things that I forbid. And then you should say, this new thing, is it most like the things that I allowed or is most like the things that I forbid? So in Thailand, we consider that driving a car would be most like all the things that the Buddha said monks should not do. See, one of the things that the Buddha wanted the monks, he wanted the monks to be helpless. And that means that he didn't want the monks just to be able to do what they want and go where they want and eat what they want. But he wants the monks to depend upon the generosity and the kindness of the lay Buddhists. That means everyone, not the monk, because then the monk becomes very aware, very grateful of all that lay people give to him. And then after you've been a monk for a while, it's just normal. You think, oh, everything I have, my robe, my food, everything is given to me by other people out of kindness. Then I must try to do something to give something back to them also. So this is very wise system that the Buddha developed, so that we give each other. You, as a lay person or the monk, he does not have money, he cannot grow food, cannot store food. In the morning he must be hungry, we give him something to eat. And then I think, oh, these lay people are so kind to me. If they didn't give me something to eat, I'd be so hungry today, and what can I do for them? And sometimes you think maybe I just need to be a good example to them, but sometimes I can speak to them and encourage them and inspire them. And so this is the way that the monks and the nuns and the householders and people generally live together through this idea of mutual kindness, sharing with each other.
How the train wheels move.
Pardon?
How the train wheels move.
Train wheels move. Goodness. I'm making a guess here. I'm not. I think I asked my scientific advisor, but I think they go round and round. Okay, this is my. I think it depends on the whether it's a steam train or whether it's a diesel train or it's a hover train. There's like lots of different ways that create some energy, and then you direct the energy into the wheels, and then the wheels go round. Yeah. Is that okay? So,
आप अलग-अलग कंट्रीज से क्यों आते हो?
I'm sorry,
Why do you visit different countries?
Why do I visit different countries? Well, actually, you see, as Buddhist monks, I say we don't have money, and the idea is we don't just say, I want to go here, I want to go there. But now there are so many Buddhists all around the world, and they send invitations, and they say, oh, we don't have any monasteries here, we don't have any monks, we don't have any teachers. Would you please come and teach us and visit us? So this is why Buddhist monks go places, really, because they go in response to invitation from people. So that's generally why we go where we go. This monk, he is from Portugal. It's a different country in Europe. Does anybody know where Portugal is? No? Have you heard of Portugal before? Yeah. Portugal is next to another bigger country you might have heard of. Have you heard of the country that's next to Portugal? Have you ever looked on a map? The country's called Spain. So Spain and Portugal are basically like a little big square like that. And Portugal's a smaller country. But we have a monastery there now. And Ajahn is one of the monks who's been helping to build a Buddhist monastery in that country. So many countries now, they would like to have Buddhist monasteries. And Venerable Vipassi, he's originally from Delhi, but now he's living in a monastery in Sri Lanka. But he's just come back to visit Delhi for a short period. Okay. Yeah.
If some really bad words keep coming to your mind and not go away, what do you do?
Yeah, never mind, don't worry, because you see, what the question is, why do things come up in your mind? Yeah, have you ever thought about that? You don't want them to come, and suddenly they're there, But the reason that they come up is usually because they come up in the past, you see. So when something comes up in your mind, the reason that it comes up again and again is because you feed it. And there's two ways you feed it. One way is feed it, you like it, and when it arises, you think of some more about it, you enjoy it, and it leads you to think that and think this. And when you do that, when you enjoy it and allow it to carry on, it's like you feed it. But there's another way of feeding it, which is not so obvious. If something, especially where something like a bad word or something comes up, you say, go away, I don't want you in my mind. This is a bad thing. But funnily enough, that feeds it also. Because it makes it real, it makes it something that is a problem for you. So what we try to do is we say, when a bad word comes up, we just say, oh, bad word. Never mind. So we don't feed it by thinking and exaggerating or making something out of it. And we don't feed it by trying to get rid of it and being violent or saying we're a bad person because we have bad thoughts. So that's the big mistake that people make. People think, I'm a bad person because I have bad thoughts. No, that's not the case. Anybody can have a bad thought. It's like your house. You can imagine if you have the door and the windows open, and then a wild animal comes in, or a thief comes in. It doesn't mean that it's a bad room, does it? It's just that, the window's open, it comes in. So the Buddha said, or my teacher, he had a nice way of talking about this. He said, it's like you have a room with just one chair in it. And if you sit in the chair, anyone who comes in, they look around for a place to sit down. There's nowhere to sit down, and they go. So if you're there and you have mindfulness and you're aware when this bad thought comes in, you just sit there. Oh, bad thoughts come in. You don't worry about it, and then it disappear. And if you do that again and again and again, you don't feed it. It just gets less and less and less and less. And then suddenly one day, oh, that's strange. That bad voice, I've never had that bad word hasn't come up for ages. So it's not something you can just get rid of, just like that. It takes some time, but you can do for sure. Yeah.
Does anybody have any other question?
Yeah, a view one.
What you this ear is big? Right? This ear big.
Okay, why your ears are big?
Wow. My ears, they're not so big. These are medium ears. Actually, big ears are good. If you have big ears, that's very auspicious, especially if they come down. Like you see the Buddha, there's a very long ear. And I've noticed people have long ears, they tend to have long life. It's a sign of long life. So if anybody says, oh, big ears, you should be very proud. Yeah, big ears is a good thing. Money is not so big.
Why did you not wear sports shoes?
Why don't wear shoes?
Sports shoes.
Sport shoes.
Sport shoes. Because you don't play sport. You're a waste of time, isn't it? It did. See, one of the things that monks have to, and nuns also, idea is we live our life in the way to say, we are very happy people, but we don't have all the enjoyments that people have. Like we don't go to watch the movies or we don't play sports. And so when you see a monk, it's kind of a bit puzzling. All the things that people say make you happy, the monks, they don't have those things, but they seem quite happy. Why is that? You see. So we don't play sports, but monks, we do some exercise. And I started doing yoga when I was a teenager. I still do some yoga. And some monks do the Chinese exercise because if you're a monk and you get sick, then you're a burden on other people. They have to look after you. So as a monk, you try to create a few burdens for your lay supporters as you can. So try to keep in good health.
Very you big. Very you big. Why are you big?
Why am I big? Yeah, this is what happens. You know, as you get older, you grow and you get bigger. I'm a lot bigger than I used to be. Yeah.
So what do you do in your day?
What do I do in my day? I'll tell you the life of a monk in a monastery in Thailand generally. Is we get up very early in the morning. The bell, there's a big bell that's rung at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then the monks, they all live in little cottages in the forest. And then they all walk to the main hall. And then there is a period of chanting for about 30 minutes. And then there's a period of meditation until about 5 a.m. And then there's a cleanup period. And then about 5:30 a.m., the monks spread out into small little groups, and they walk into the local villages to receive the food in their bowls. And so it depends on the monastery. Sometimes to go there and go back can be like 6, 7, 8 kilometers. But other places just short, maybe 1 or 2 kilometers. It depends on the monastery. And then when the monks come back, then the food that they receive is sent to the kitchen, and there are also people come to offer food, and so the daily meal of the monks is offered at about 8 o'clock. So we only eat one time a day, 8 o'clock in the morning, once every 24 hours. It's the usual thing, and then after the meal, then there's some cleanup, and then the monks, they have the free time to meditate or to study in their cottages. And then in the afternoon, at about 3 p.m. is a work period. And then after the work period, there's some tea or coffee or fruit juice and some conversation, just more kind of informal time with the monks. And then the monks go back and then maybe have a shower and some private time. And then there's an evening meeting with meditation and chanting, and sometimes the abbot will give some talk to the monks and finish about 9:30, and then the monks can go back to their cottages. That's a kind of a normal day in a forest monastery. So it's quite a long day.
Why you eat bok choy?
Bok choy, yeah.
Bok choy, it's a vegetable.
Yeah. So, I think the question is, do you eat bok choy?
Why do you eat?
Why do you eat?
Bok choy.
Yeah. I think it's the name of a vegetable, I think.
Oh, I don't know. Probably if it's a vegetable, then I probably would eat it. Yes, I like vegetables. Do you like vegetables? Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you eat only once, one time a week?
Well, one reason is that, as I told you before, that we don't cook our own food, and what we eat is through the generosity of our lay supporters. So everyone has to go to work, and they have a lot to do, a lot of responsibilities. So we want to have like as minimum problem for them or time for them. So just one meal a day, and it's enough for us. We feel once you eat one meal a day, actually it's very healthy. But also, as monks, what you notice is in the evening time, when you have an empty stomach, it's very good for meditation. If you eat a lot in the evening, it makes you very kind of sluggish and sleepy. And also, if you don't eat in the evening, you don't need to sleep so much either, because your body's not having to do all this extra work of digesting the food. So it's I'm so used to it now. I just sometimes it's not so strict. Like say if we're traveling or like come to India, and then maybe it's more convenient to have a meal at 11 or something rather than 8. So maybe we have a little bit of breakfast first thing in the morning. So it's not so rigid, but usually it's one time. I have a great love of stories, and I was really hoping I'd come here and someone would tell me a good story today. So when I get back to Thailand, I can tell the children in Thailand, I heard a story in India. This is what it is. Can anybody going to tell me a story? Anybody got a good story?
You want to tell a story? Anybody? You want to tell a story?
Tell a story? Yes.
Tell a short story maybe? If you have one. Anybody who has it? Sanvi? Go ahead.
Can you ask her to stand up?
You want to stand up and say?
There was a princess named Bobby. He lived, but he don't like her home, so he leave her home. So he leave her home and go to Paris.
Okay.
And she looked up English girl, so he asked, "What is your name?" So he don't know English, so he said, "मुझे English नहीं पता." तो he said, "What means it?" तो उसने कहा, आपका क्या मतलब? हरिकथा? हरिकथा?
Okay. You want to tell the story? Okay. Keep going further. Okay. Move to
There is jungle. There is jungle. A dragon. Snow night. So the word attack wrote me. It's the fire door tree. but is but giant is
क्या हुआ?
हो गई है.
Thank you.
Ajahn, children have got some offerings, so can we make it?
Okay, I'm just going to tell you one of my stories. This is an Indian story
Great.
about very famous wise person called Birbal. Do you have read the stories of Birbal?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to tell me a Birbal story? I'll tell you a Birbal story. Okay, I'll tell you my Birbal story. Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I remember.
Okay, go ahead.
One Birbal was spat on the wall, and then a courtier went to Akbar and said, I saw Birbal spitting on the palace wall. So when Birbal came, he was chewing something. Then Akbar told him not to spit there and spit in an empty and useless place. That courtier was blind of one eye, so he spat in his eye. Akbar roared and said, Birbal, what is this? Birbal said, his eye is useless and empty, so I spit in it.
Thank you. Okay, so my verbal story, you probably heard this one anyway. So one day, Emperor Akbar, he found that one of his jewels disappeared from his room. And he was sure it must have been one of the soldiers who guard his palace. So you can imagine those soldiers, really big with big beards, like this, and the weapon. So he has all of the soldiers, all of the palace guards stand in a line. And he said, which one of you stole my diamond? If you tell me now, just give it back, it's okay. And he tried, and he speak very, in a very frightening tone and a friendly tone, tried every way, and nobody would own up. Nobody would confess that they stole his jewel. So Emperor Akbar, he calls for Birbal. He said, Birbal, please find out who stole my jewel. So Birbal's looking at all these soldiers standing there, very stern, big beard, and then he's like he's used some special power. And then he says, the person who stole your jewel has a piece of straw in his beard. And immediately one of the soldiers went like this. And he said, he's the one. Of course, there was no straw, you see. But he's very clever because he knows that that person who stole, he's the one who will be afraid that he gave himself away. He can't help himself. He has to check, you see. So then he is the one.